This page was created to teach Black history. Unfortunately, the American educational system was designed to exclude our real historical account, so we are here to dismantle it. It's time to enlighten those of us who have been kept in the dark. I am a Black man who didn't know enough about my own history, so I began to dig deeper and do my own research. Black history is American history, so I want people of all races and cultures to join together to learn our history as one. Here, I will share all of my findings. Please like, follow, share, and subscribe to Teaching Black History. The story of Dorothy Height. Dorothy was born in Richmond, Virginia on March 24th, 1912. When she was 5 years old, she moved with her family to Rankin, Pennsylvania, a steel town in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, where she attended racially integrated schools. Height's mother was active in the Pennsylvania's Federation of Colored Women's Clubs and regularly took Dorothy along to meetings where she established her in place in the sisterhood. Height's long association with the YWCA began in a girls' reserve club in Rankin. An enthusiastic participant who was soon elected president of the club, Height was appalled to learn that her race barred her from swimming in the pool at the Central YWCA branch. Though her arguments could not bring about a change in policy in the 1920s Pittsburgh, Height later dedicated much of her professional energy to bringing profound change to the YWCA. While in high school, Height became socially and politically active in an anti-lynching campaign. A talented girl, she was first place in a $1,000 scholarship at a national contest held by the Elks. Height graduated from Rankin High School in 1929. She was accepted to Barnard College in 1929, but was denied entrance because the school had an unwritten policy of admitting only 2 Black students per year. She enrolled instead at New York University, earning an undergraduate degree in 1932 and a master's degree in educational philosophy the following year. From 1934 to 1937, Height worked in the New York City Department of Welfare, an experience she credited with teaching her the skills to deal with conflict without intensifying it. From there, she moved to a job as a counselor at the YWCA of New York, the Harlem branch. In fall of 1937, and after joining the staff there, Height met Mary McLeod Bethune and Eleanor Roosevelt at a meeting of the National Council of Negro Women held in the YWCA. In her 2003 memoir, Height described the meeting. On that fall day, the redoubtable Mary McLeod Bethune put her hand on me. She drew me into her dazzling orbit of people in power and people in poverty. The freedom gates are half ajar, she said. We must pry them fully open. I have been committed to the calling ever since. In 1939, Height went to Washington, D.C. to be the executive of the Phyllis Wheatley branch of the D.C. YWCA. She returned to New York City to join national staff in the fall of 1944, joining the program staff with special responsibility in the field of interracial relations. This work included training activities, writing, and working with the Public Affairs Committee on race issues, where her insight into the attitude and feeling of both white and Negro people was heavily counted on. It was during this period that the YWCA adopted its interracial charter, 1946, which not only pledged to work towards an interracial experience within the YWCA, but also to fight against injustice on the bias of race, whether in the community or the nation or the world. Height was an active member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority throughout her life, developing leadership training programs and education programs. The increasing momentum of the civil rights movement prompted the YWCA National Board to allocate funds to launch a country-wide action program for integration and desegregation of community YWCAs in 1963. Height took leave from her position as Associate Director for Training to head this 2-year action program. At the end of that period, the National Board adopted a proposal to accelerate the work in going beyond taking integration and making a bold assault on all aspects of racial segregation. It established an Office of Racial Integration, renamed Office of Racial Justice in 1969, as part of the Executive Office. In her role as its first director, Height helped to monitor the association's progress toward full integration, kept abreast of the civil rights movement, facilitated honest dialogue, aided the association in making best use of its African American leadership, both volunteer and staff, and helped in the recruitment and the retention. Shortly before she retired from the YWCA in 1977, Height was elected as an honorary National Board member, a lifetime appointment. Height became president of the National Council of Negro Women in 1958 and remained in that position until 1990. While working with both the YWCA and the NCNW, and she was considered a member of the Civil Rights Six, a group with up to 9 members, including Martin Luther King Jr., James Farmer, John Lewis, A. Philip Randolph, Roy Wilkins, and Whitney Young. In his autobiography, civil rights leader James Farmer noted that Height's role in the Big Six was frequently ignored by the press due to sexism. During the civil rights movement, she organized Wednesdays in Mississippi with Polly Siepel Cohen, which brought together black and white women from the North and South to work against segregation. Height's background as a prize-winning orator allowed her to serve as an effective middleman through the creating a dialogue of understanding between unfamiliar parties. Though Height was not called upon to speak at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, she served as one of the chief organizers for the gathering, becoming a key part in the demonstration's success. Height also acted as an ambassador for the Lone Women's Organization during the event. In the mid-1960s, she wrote a column called A Woman's Word for the weekly African American newspaper, The New Yorker, Amsterdam News. In 1974, she was named to the National Commission for the Protection of Human Subjects of Biomedical and Behavioral Research. Height was the driving force in the campaign to erect a statue in honor of Mary McLeod Booth Hayne in Lincoln Park, Washington, D.C. The monument was the first statue dedicated to either a woman or an African American person to be erected on federal land. At the July 1974 unveiling of the memorial, which had an attendance of more than 18,000 people, Height stated that the statue represented the awakening appreciation for the contributions of racial minorities and women within the United States, which was best represented by a black woman. In 1990, Height, along with 15 other African Americans, formed the African American Women for Reproductive Freedom. Height received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Bill Clinton in 1994. President Barack Obama called Height the godmother of the Civil Rights Movement and a hero to so many Americans. She was an honored guest at the inauguration of President Obama on January 20th, 2009, and was seated on the stage. On March 25th, 2010, Height was admitted to Howard University Hospital in Washington, D.C. for unspecified reasons and under protest because she had pending speaking arrangements. She died 6 weeks later, on April 20th, 2010, at the age of 98.